Happy Saturday, everybody. What's happening? I'm Megan Fox. I write with PJ Media, and I'm here today to read to you another article I found in this time Time Magazine is doing a post-mortem. I haven't read it yet, so you're going to get my reaction real time as it happens. My washing machine is still broken, so I have to head to the laundromat after this, but I thought I would have a little fun with you first, so let's do it. Okay, so I just need to I made this little, image for this article, which I found funny. Have you guys seen the meme of the dancing guys with the coffin? That's what came to mind when I saw the, headline for this new show that we all hated. Alright, Time Magazine, and just like that, a postmortem for a sequel that was dead on arrival. And this is by Judy Berman, by the way. And just like that, Sex and the City became the archetypal bad boyfriend you can't bear to cut loose. There were good times, sure, way back before the show became a franchise. Remember how Susan Seidelman directed 3 episodes of season 1? Or that time New York Magazine roasted Carrie in its Single and Fabulous issue? But for many fans, myself included, the spark went out when the series finale promoted Mr. Big from toxic bachelor to Carrie's Prince Charming. No, not for me. I was always on Team Big. I was Team Big because Carrie would have made Aiden miserable, so I thought the 2 of them deserved each other. They both were full of themselves. Others would get turned off by the inane SATC movie or its offensive sequel. I liked the first movie, but that was me. Yet for some reason, Y2K nostalgia, Omicron boredom, morbid curiosity, we watched and just like that. Despite lukewarm reviews and the absence of Kim Cattrall's iconically libidinous Samantha Jones, the sequel had what HBO Max would pronounce the best debut day of any series in its short history. The premiere caught viewers off guard with Big's unintentionally hilarious death by Peloton. Chris Noth, the actor who played him, was soon resurrected in an opportunistic but inevitable Peloton commercial. In a depressingly contemporary third act, after multiple women accused Noth of sexual assault, his scenes were cut from the subsequent episodes and the ad was pulled. As Ferris Bueller, an obscure alter ego of Sarah Jessica Parker's husband Matthew Broderick, once said, "Life comes at you fast." The allegations that the man whose character embodies SATC's romantic ideal had preyed upon women only underlined what should have been obvious from the moment the show was announced and what the season's scripts would go out of their way to confirm. AJLT was over before it even started. Executive producer Michael Patrick King, who has long been the keeper of the franchise created by Darren Star and whose other TV projects include Two Broke Girls, and The Comeback, excels most at putting bon mots in the mouths of over the top female characters. Carrie's mourning took King out of his comfort zone, not only slowing the pace of a narrative that had always been defined by the kinetic motion of city life, but also introducing an element of tragedy that never quite meshed with the more familiar, breezier storylines. I mean, were we supposed to laugh or cry when Miranda's first hookup with Carrie's non binary podcast boss left a convalescent Carrie to soak her bed in pee? Because I just felt deeply uncomfortable. The other women's arcs were somehow worse. Formerly a sweet natured priss, Charlotte developed into the worst kind of helicopter parent, micromanaging every element of her children's lives while still finding bandwidth to judge her friends' choices. Wait, I'm stopping. Charlotte was a helicopter parent? That is not what I saw. No. No, she was absolutely being run by her children. Her children were micromanaging her life. She never told them what to do about anything. No. No, that's totally off. Mm-mm. Uh, no wonder Lily can't even insert a tampon independently. That's right, because Charlotte allows her children to run her life. Poor Miranda kicked off the season ready to re-educate herself for a second career in public interest law. Excuse me, I'm hiccuping. Only to Karen her way through Columbia and ultimately blow up her life in New York to follow her new love, Che Diaz's Bliss, to California. She and Steve never seemed like a great match, it's true, but suddenly her family, her political convictions, and her career no longer mean anything to her? That's not the Miranda we know. Meanwhile, the reduction of Samantha's presence to a series of terse text messages with Carrie made a franchise notable mostly for its blunt depictions of women's sexuality seem weirdly prudish. If AJLT's casting of a new woman of color friend for each member of the central trio came off as conspicuously compensatory, it was also admittedly preferable to the alternative, more whitewashing of a city where white people make up less than 43 of the percent of the population. Oh, come on. I hate it when they do this, when they go back and piss on the old series because it wasn't what they wanted it to be, in for the diversity box checking. I mean, come on, let it be what it was. Anyway, moving on. Karen Pittman's Dr. Nia Wallace, a law professor who, after a rough first day of class, looks past Miranda's flailing white lady exterior to find a confidant, was the most fully realized of these characters. Charlotte's posh filmmaker pal, Lisa Todd Wexley, seemed underwritten by comparison. Carrie's real estate agent Seema, with her cigarettes and her love of handbags, might have been a bit too alternate reality Bradshaw on paper, but the great Sarita Chutere made the character her own. And then, beyond the gender binary, there was Che, a comedian who confused motivational speeches for jokes, a preposterously on the nose embodiment of every attribute the original cast was missing, and a gift to meme makers everywhere. Despite its fearless or naive embrace of cringe, AJLT did tiptoe around one delicate topic: money. Whether through their own high powered jobs or via marriage, to a master of the universe like Big or Harry, Carrie and her friends, once striving career women whose expensive tastes sometimes resulted in obscene credit card debt, now live the lives of one percenters. They buy whatever they want, do whatever they want, travel to Paris whenever they want. Such financial security lowers the show's stakes to near non existence. Considering that the Bradshaw Prestons owned two Manhattan apartments, and that when Big left his ex a seven-figure inheritance, the only apparent injury to Carrie was emotional, it's probably safe to conclude that her future isn't hanging on the success of a podcast or a memoir, which, taken together with the growing global hostility towards the super rich that has fueled recent hits from Succession to Parasite, might explain why King so often glosses over the characters' wealth. When he does acknowledge their privilege, it's indirectly through humor. For them, Brooklyn is just a place you go to volunteer. Charlotte, Lisa, and her kids roll up to one such outing in a stretch limo. Rather than dirty her hands, Seema writes a big fat check and lights a cigarette. As the season progressed, the deflection increasingly distanced viewers from the characters. Still, if the constant social media chatter was any indication, we kept watching, and our loyalty paid off. On Thursday, in a strange cursory finale that confirmed AJLT had been doomed from the very beginning. No major character's resolution made sense, even as a setup for a possible second season. Miranda lighting out to LA to become Che Diaz's number one fan, Charlotte getting abruptly bat mitzvahed at a ceremony Rock dropped out of at the last minute because it offended her fluid identity or something. Also, how rich would you have to be to let your kid back out of such an expensive event after it starts? No, I don't think the word is rich here. What she's looking for is how incompetent would you have to be as a parent to let your kid do such a thing? Carrie dumping Big's ashes out of her Eiffel Tower purse and into the Seine, then taking another shot at love with the Silver Fox producer of her new advice podcast? Eat your hearts out, Frasier and Roz. More than anything, the episode felt sparse, anticlimactic, and unfinished. Three things a finale should never be: too attenuated by the loss of too many original SATC cast members to stand on its own. In a genuine real world tragedy, the actor Willie Garson became too sick with pancreatic cancer midway through the production to finish shooting what Parker has described as a very significant storyline built around his character, Stanford Blatch. Garson died in September. Samantha was not just gone, but also tarred by the unbelievable implication that she wouldn't swallow her pride to visit her grieving friend in New York. It was obvious where Notha's Big has been hastily cut out of Carrie's dream sequences and flashbacks, and in the finale, his absence from those scenes rendered them all but nonsensical. By the time Carrie arrived in Paris, the only closure to be found was with a ghost who could no longer be represented on screen and a friend who existed only in her phone's messages app. It's hard to imagine a clearer indication that this story had exceeded its expiration date. Sadly, fans' bottomless appetite for Sex and the City has made the further erosion of the show's legacy worryingly likely. If they film it, we will come, even if the best thing we could do for the story would be to let it die. Oh god, is that true? That is so true, and I think that perhaps we should let it die. Um, the selfishly, I would absolutely be back here to drag the show, but it doesn't need to continue. It should never have been made in the first place, and, they should have known that. Anyway, some good news. I'm going to be collabing with Real Housewives Recaps. So Jen over at Real Housewives Recaps is premiering a video tomorrow at 1 p.m. I think that's Eastern Standard Time. I'm actually not sure. So check her channel. Make sure you're liked and subscribed on realhousewives.com because I will be contributing my top 10 worst moments of the End Just Like That season to her newest episode of her podcast, Midnight Toast. And that's coming out tomorrow, so please stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what you thought of this Time Magazine article. Do you agree? If they make us another season, will we be back or won't we? And should it be done? And do you think that this series should even have been made? I'm very interested to know what you think. All right, guys, I have to go do laundry at the laundromat now, unfortunately. And I'll talk to you guys later.